Well, so it happened again, didn't it? The Toronto Maple Leafs play a hockey game with all their good players. Pretty much everybody that you want to go out there and see do well is playing, and they play against, as Steve Dangle coined it, a penguinless Penguins team. And they get absolutely smoked. I'm not going to go out there and pretend to do a segment that is akin to a Steve Dangle, or I don't want to go out there and tell you like it is because I'm a big Leafs fan who's been following this team for years and years and years, and who is as frustrated as the rest of the fan base is. I'm just coming in here from a different fan base's perspective. This is a Canucks fan right here, talking to you about the Toronto Maple Leafs, because it's just kind of crazy to me, man, how this keeps on happening time in, time out, and just the consistency of this story. The Toronto Maple Leafs are broken, and it's quite shocking to me to see how this is playing out. Now, I'm not too sure if it's all too shocking for anybody else in the Leafs fan base. I know the radio hits and the Steve Dangle videos and the social media posts, everybody's freaking out about this hockey team even though it's only been 6 games. But the fact that we have seen this before, and the fact that it's arguably in the worst place it has been in, is reason for many people's demise and cynicism, and honestly, I'm not going to say that it's unwarranted, it is very unfortunate, but when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, this hockey team was supposed to be on the cusp of what everybody was calling their last dance Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls scenario. Now, they didn't win any championships, it's not the last dance because Chicago is entering the last stage of their tenure of having all these star players together, and they're getting one last dance at winning another championship. No. This is their first dance. This is the last dance of the players in the organization because Riley and Campbell might be leaving. It's Marner, it's Matthews, it's Tavares clogging up all the money on this team, making it so that the rest of your depth and the rest of your first line, pretty much, has to be acquired through extraordinarily cheap players, and as a result, the options for this team are very limited. Now, what do you do when you have players that are at the top of your lineup making big bucks? You expect these players to score. Mitch Marner so far, in the 6 games played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, has himself a whopping 0 goals and 1 assist for 1 point. Auston Matthews has 0 points in 3 games played, but of course he had the injury, so he missed out on some time. And I get it, players are allowed to have slumps, they're allowed to go out there and be a little bit cold, but this story isn't new. This story is carrying over from the Stanley Cup playoff series against the Canadiens last year. It's the same guys at the top of the lineup doing things, like William Nylander, for example. He's under a point per game, he's scoring goals. Jason Spezza is out there as the second most productive Leaf on this team. John Tavares, admittedly, is doing okay, and I mean, he wasn't playing in the playoff series, so it's kind of okay to give him the pass as well. But when it comes to the stars of this team, the guys that you expect to step up the most have not stepped up. And I like this post that, or not post, but the point that Steve Dangle made in his video yesterday about how even though the Leafs have all the great advanced analytics, the fancy stats, the Corsi, the expected goals for, it all favors Toronto, they're not getting it done besides that. Not because advanced analytics are bad. No, that's not the case here. Advanced analytics tell a very intricate story of how hockey games are played. It's just for the Maple Leafs, the reason everything goes the way it does, every goaltender they play that's a backup ends up becoming George Vezina, as Dangle would say, is because the Maple Leafs do not test these goaltenders with hard-working plays. They challenge these goaltenders by holding the puck in the offensive zone for a few minutes, cycling it around, and getting an easy, straight shot at the goaltender that has no screen, no rebound, no garbage, no whatever. They can get shot after shot after shot, but they're relying too much on their ability to snipe it or their ability to dangle a goalie. Meanwhile, you look at what the Penguins did yesterday. Guess what? A whole bunch of tip-in goals, playing gritty, playing hard, stepping up when the rest of their team needs it the most. They don't have their superstar players, so guess what? Number 1 center Evan Rodrigues has to go out there and step up to the plate and match that task. The Maple Leafs' identity of the past few years has been constant. When the going gets tough, or frankly, when the going gets easy, you collapse under pressure. When you're supposed to win, you don't. When you have it in the bag, you blow it. And now you have players on your team, like Mitch Marner, for example, saying, obviously it's not going in. I think we've produced good opportunities. I thought we've had good looks. We haven't had a lot of second opportunities, though. He says getting frustrated will not help anything, and he also says that he doesn't think we can be concerned. Sheldon Keefe said this about Mitch Marner and his offensive drought to start the year: he is not the only one here on our team that's got to find their game. Keefe said this about Nick Ritchie the other day after the San Jose game regarding the volume of questions regarding Ritchie getting benched and all that. You should be asking as many questions about Matthews and Marner as you are Rich. Sheldon Keefe is feeling the heat right now. And honestly, in my opinion, the biggest thing that I'm thinking about is what the heck would Mike Babcock have said if he was in this position? You know, I respect Sheldon Keefe a lot, especially after watching the Amazon series where we saw what Sheldon Keefe does as a coach and what he tries to do to motivate this team. But for Mike Babcock, you know the guy doesn't really have a reputation for being the nicest guy in the world, right? Part of me still thinks about Babcock from time to time, what the heck would he have done in this situation? And what did he do in the previous years that he was in Toronto that worked? Was it accountability? Was it the tough love? Was it the somewhat emotional abuse of his players? Or maybe it's just an age thing, I don't know, because back when Babcock was doing the thing with the Maple Leafs, Matthews and Marner, these guys were breaking into the league, they were on entry-level deals, and all of a sudden, boom, Matthews' extension gets signed, Marner extension gets signed, Babcock gets fired, Keefe comes in, and the team has an even worse identity of losing than they had before. At what point do you go out there and you try to make a big decision to change this? Mitch Marner has been suggested by everybody as potential trade bait, and if you've seen any of the tape, you could probably understand why. The one assist that Marner has, I think it was a secondary assist, and it was something like he was on the bench when Nylander scored it or whatever. It just hasn't clicked for Marner yet, and at this point, it's 6 games in. Okay, I get it. You can say 6 out of 82. That's only X% of the season. What are you freaking out for? You're not even a Leafs fan. But when you're one of the top-paid wingers in the entire gosh darn NHL, when only Artemi Panarin makes more than you expect to be able to go out there and still produce. For Artemi Panarin, that guy hasn't looked himself the entire year, and he's still getting points left and right. The overtime winner against Toronto, etc., etc. He's at 4 points in 6 games played, and many Rangers fans would tell you that Artemi Panarin has not broken out just yet. And things get a little bit more difficult to process when you see the interviews and whatnot, and it doesn't really look like any of the guys out there actually care about what's going on, aside from maybe Jake Muzzin. I know it's the media, and you need to be on your toes, and you can't be super revealing to the Toronto media because the Toronto media will eat you up. But I don't know, man. Just responses like these that are kind of giving out the vibe that the team wants to portray, it doesn't really feel like it's accomplishing anything. It's almost like they put up a brick wall in front of their team, and they're using this wall as a guard to suppress what it is that they're actually feeling into the media, and as a result, what we're getting from this team is a watered down, we just need to be positive, we just need to do this, do that, we're getting chances, whatever, kind of BS that we see in the newspapers. There's no desperation anywhere here, and I don't know if that is just an indicament of what's going on within that locker room, or if there really is just that much of a lack of passion from these players. Sheldon Keefe certainly does not have that. He was in the All or Nothing series screaming his head off. You could definitely tell he's doing his best to keep these players in check. It's just the best guys on your team that you want to lead your team are not leading your team. Nylander, I guess he's part of that crew too, but one guy can only do so much. I personally hope to be proven wrong, so if anybody goes out there and talks to me in the comments, Lego, you're just a hater, whatever, the Leafs are going to be better, and you're going to be sorry that you made this video, hey, I hope I'm sorry I made this video a week from now. I hope the Leafs give Freddie Anderson a run for that guy's money in the next hockey game. I hope Mitch Marner goes out there and gets 100 points because he's making the amount of money that justifies that kind of production. But most importantly, individual awards and performance aside, the Leafs need to go out there and start breaking through that mold of blowing it when the going gets easy, blowing it when the going gets tough. Easy games against backup goaltenders, emergency backup goaltenders, against Crosby, Malkin, and the Tang-less Penguins teams, against Montreal when you're up 3-1. Losses like these need to be shaken up, and with what we're seeing on the ice, with the attitudes we're seeing, it just doesn't really look like it's working out, but either way, my goodness, we're at 10 minutes. Talk to me in the comments what you think about the Maple Leafs, and if this video is even remotely correct. If you had anything to say about what I had to say here, then please let me know in the comments what you thought. I hope you enjoyed this video of Trolls 9, and bye.